That's why it says in the Old Testament that fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. It's like, I have never, in all my years as a clinical psychologist, and this is something that really does terrify me, I have never seen anyone ever get away with anything at all, even once. You know, there's that old idea that God has a book, you know, and keeps track of everything in heaven. It's like, okay, you know, maybe it's not a book. Fine. But that is a really useful thing to think about because, well, and maybe you disagree. Maybe you think people get away with things all the time. I tell you, I've never seen it.
You can easily be in a situation, you can easily and unfortunately find yourself in a situation where all you have in front of you are a variety of bad options. You know, that's partly why, if you have any sense, you try to conduct yourself very carefully in life, because you don't want to be in a position where you've made so many mistakes that all the options left to you are terrible.
The only person that's still stirring the bowl with the wooden spoon, when you look at the hand, you see that it's got dark nail polish on it. And that's the devil, man. He's the only one who's still tempting you. He's still stirring you dirty like that. That temptation, man, it'll bait you. It'll bait you, and then it'll damn date you, bro. Next thing you know, you're trapped into a relationship with the devil.
But they kept doing them anyways. So it's one step at a time. And that's the thing, is that you end up in very bad places one step at a time. So you've got to watch those steps. It's like, stay awake, speak properly, be honest, or watch the hell out, because things will come your way that you just do not want to see at all. And it might not just be you, it might be everyone you know and everything about your culture that is demolished for generation after generation. You know, by the rules of the game that you yourself are playing, that some of the times you're violating the rules of the game that you're playing. Cain tells God at the end of that episode that his punishment is more than he can bear. And I think the reason for that is, where are you once you destroy your own ideal? What's left for you? There's nowhere to go. There's no up. And when there's no up, there's a lot of down. Part of that corruption is just happenstance. It's the way things fall apart. But the other part of it is that not only are we not aiming up, we're actually aiming down. And the flood story is a warning, and it's a very clear warning. And the warning is, if you aim down enough, and then if enough of you aim down at the same time, everything will degenerate into something that's indistinguishable from the chaos from which things emerged at the beginning of time. And I also think people know that too. They know that in the way that people know things when they don't want to know them, which means they know them embodied. They can feel them, they can sense them, they have an emotional response to them, but there's no damn way they're going to let them become articulate because they don't want to know. And when you're feeling guilty and ashamed about the things you've done or not done, and I know that can get out of hand as well, it's often because there is a crooked little part of you that's aiming at the worst possible outcome. No, man, that's not breakfast. That's hell. You know? And you created it. And then what you do, if you have a diner like that, is because you have a miserable life if you have a diner like that, and you've really worked on achieving that, is every night you go home and you curse your wife and you curse your kids and you fucking well curse God too for producing a universe where a diner like yours is allowed to exist. And that's your bloody life. And so Cain adopts this mode of being that's antithetical to being itself, at least to positive being itself. He does it voluntarily. He does it knowing full well what he's doing. And the net consequence of this, that as it ripples through the entire social structure, is that God stands back and says, this whole thing has got so bad, the only thing we can do is wipe it to the ground. And that is no joke. That's exactly how things work.